Hi, welcome to Understanding Container Automation. First off, what is container automation? Container automation is a relatively new enhancement from CargoWise, came out around the first of the year, that assists you in the management of your containerized cargo. It reduces labor costs, user errors, and time. So what are some of the benefits of container automation? Well, first, it tracks any container. Doesn't matter who the customer is in the supply chain. It could be a broker, importer, whatever, and it doesn't require the sending of a message in order to subscribe. Why do they do this? Well, carrier sites can be inconsistent. The events are going to vary from carrier to carrier. With container automation, you're going to get the same events for every single container, which is nice. It currently tracks over 50 carriers, with more coming soon. And it'll give you actual departure and arrival dates directly from satellite or port systems. So the most common questions that we get about container tracking are the following. Sorry about that. Which ocean carriers can you receive automated information from? Go to My Account. There's a list of the participating carriers on the My Account page. How do you subscribe? Well, it's simple. You're automatically subscribed to container automation. There's nothing you need to do. And where can you see a history of the jobs of what happened? Well, if you go to the Jobs Workflow and Tracking tab under the Events subtab. So in this example, we're looking at a consolidation. But if you go to Workflow and Tracking and Events, you can see a history of all of your events. So what do you need to do to set this up? First and foremost, you have to have good carrier organizations. Make sure all your carriers are in there and they're all marked as a carrier. It's not a bad idea if you've got multiple companies or branches to also mark them as a global supplier. Next, you're going to need to enter the SCAC code for your carriers. So what's a SCAC code? A SCAC code, you can see in this example here, this is an NYK line container. It's going to be 4 letters that'll be on every container and is unique to that carrier. So here, like I said before, is NYKU and then your container number. So where do you put this in CargoWise? Well, on the organization. So in this case, the organization is Maersk. From the Details tab of the organization, go to the Config subtab, Registration Numbers and Code, and the type is going to be CCC. If you put in type CCC, put in your SCAC code. All right, how does this work in the record? You need 2 things on a record for container tracking to work. You need a carrier with a valid SCAC code and either a carrier booking reference or a bill of lading number. One of the two. One of these 2 and a valid carrier and container tracking will work. Now, a couple things not to do with container tracking. Don't guess. So I've seen people on the bill of lading, if they don't know what it is, put TBD or coming soon or something like that. Don't do that. When in doubt, leave it out. Don't put in false information in there. Same thing goes with your container number. If you put in the container type and leave the container number blank, as long as you have that information from before, so as long as you have a valid carrier with a SCAC code and either the carrier booking reference or the bill of lading number, if you put in just the container type, that container will automatically merge in. The only exception to this is going to be co-loads. For obvious reason, if you're doing a co-load, you need both the bill of lading number and the container number. The reason for this is it'll prevent the system from tracking non-related containers on the consolidation. So how far back will this go? 30 days. So as we're recording this, it is actually August the 29th. I couldn't put a shipment in for June. It only goes back 30 days. All right, quick commercial break. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of this video, and I apologize. My name is Ken Kozlowski, and I'm the Director of Trading at Lading Corporation. I have over 8 years experience in working with this system. I actually worked for CargoWise in Chicago for a couple of years. Spent about 4 years doing 2 major implementations of over 4,000 users, and I joined Lading over 2 years ago. The reason I joined the Lading team is because they're just that. They're a team. We've got 14 people on 3 different continents working to serve our clients. Our strength is working together. For example, you're listening to a pre-recorded version of this presentation where we're not going to talk about workflows. But one of the main reasons why is I'm not the guy to do workflows. We have a team that are experts on workflow and setting up workflow. If you need help, I'd be happy to refer you to someone on our workflow team. You know, unlike other WiseTech partners that we're a team, which is a good thing. We've got multiple people who work together and we highlight our strengths. In addition to traditional consulting and training, we also offer a help desk for CargoWise One. This works in 3 different ways. We do per user support, we do help desk management, and we do business process outsourcing. Per user support starts at around $45 a month, and these are some of the things we offer. Help desk management. I always like to tell the story of a client of ours in New Jersey by the name of Global. They're the ones who, when you watch this presentation, they graciously allowed us to share their database and take screenshots from their database. About a year ago, they said, we want to get really good on CargoWise. I always joke, CargoWise is, for most people, it's like driving a Lamborghini to the grocery store. Yes, it works, but it can do so much more than that. And I'm going to visit them for the 3rd time in October. We worked with them over the last year. We made sure their base knowledge was solid. We brought in their sales team. We got their sales team working with the system. We worked with WebTracker for them. We got a document put together for their clients that allows the clients to use WebTracker more effectively. We set up all of their workflows. We set up integrations with some of their clients. We came up with something we call Auto Rating Lite, which is a fast way to do auto rating for quotes. And hopefully after October, they're going to be paperless. So we can really work with you incrementally to make sure that you're getting the most out of CargoWise. And we don't have to be there every day. I think I was there 3 times for usually 3-4 days at a time, but give you some things to work on it, get better. We also do business process outsourcing. You know, we know your margins are tight. BP outsourcing gives you a competitive edge and really saves you a lot of money, and it takes the burden off your internal staff. So some of the things we can do this for are operations, accounting, and CargoWise One. All right, let's get back to container tracking. If any of you are interested in this, you can contact us, but let's focus more on container tracking for the rest of this session. So where do you get a proof of messages that are sent? If you go to Workflow and Tracking, Events, you'll see 2 events here. The first one is SBR, Subscription Requested. This is what sends the request to CargoWise. Next, you'll see DEX. That's the actual file that's being exported. You'll also see GOU or gate out. This date will populate when the empty container is released from the container yard. This event may happen quite a ways before when you actually start entering your consolidation. So in this case at the bottom you can see it was actually released on June 4th, even though we didn't start creating this consolidation till June the 21st. Now, where does this show on your consolidation record? Well, on the export process, it'll show as empty released from the container yard. And on the import process, it'll show as wharf gate out. Next, we've got picked up, PUP. Pretty simple. Under export process, actual full pickup. This is the date it'll populate. Gate in terminal, GIN. This date will be populated when the empty container is released or returned. So on the export process, we will see this date under empty released from container yard. There's the event, there's the date. On the import process, we'll see it under empty returned on. There's the event, there's the date. Next, we've got freight loaded at terminal location. Take a look at this, guys. It's going to show under export process, FCL loaded. But one of the things that you can see under workflow and tracking events is going to be all of the legs. So this was loaded on June the 6th in Colombia. There's my date, June the 6th in Colombia. But it was loaded again on June the 14th in Manzanillo. Even though it doesn't show the date here, I can see that under events. Departure, DEP, you're probably very familiar with this. This date will be populated when freight departs. It will appear for the last sea leg, or if entered, legs can also be populated. So look at this one. It shows when it left Colombia on June the 6th. It shows when it left Manzanillo on June the 15th. Now, where does this show in your consolidation? Look at this. My last sea leg is the 15th, so it shows the date of the 15th. But if you look down here, if I put in my proper legs, and this is very important, guys, you've got to have the right UN locos here. It will populate my legs on the routing tab as well. Now, if I don't put in the legs, I'll still see the legs under workflow and tracking events. In order for the legs to work and to populate the legs, I have to have the right UN loco code here. Same thing goes for arrival. Arrival works very similar. So here's my arrival. It arrived in Manzanillo on June the 7th. And it arrived in Savannah on June the 21st. Again, this is a different record. So if I go to the arrival tab, boop, there's the 21st when it arrived in Savannah. But because I have good legs here, it populated the legs as well. Freight unloaded, again, it shows it for every leg. It will appear for the last sea leg under the import process. Gate out. This date will be populated when the container is gated out from the port of discharge terminal. It appears for the last sea leg on the container tab. but all legs will show in workflow and tracking events. So import process, wharf gate out. Workflow and tracking, show both. Delivered, when the container is delivered, it'll show under import process, actual full delivery. Dehire, when the empty container is returned, it'll show under import process, empty returned on. Okay, let's talk briefly about workflow. We're not going to be able to get into specific workflow examples on this video. And the reason is everyone's workflow is slightly different. WiseTech came out with a great document. It's about 50 pages long. If you go to my account, it's called Workflow Suggestions and Examples for Container Automation. Take a look at that. It's a wonderful starting point for your workflow. Obviously, everybody's going to be a little bit different. You're going to want to make some changes to it, but it's a great place to start. We're pre-recording this, so I can't answer your questions, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to speak to all of you soon.